Start with you, Alan.
Okay, sure. I think, like what I said earlier, that, data is the new oil, but I think we need to look at data from a different health lens. I think traditionally, we think a lot about data as a bit of the, math, the statistical model. But as we begin to understand data better, data can be correlated. The intersection of different data points create new value that we have not seen. So I think, my encouragement to government, to all LGUs is to be more savvy in a way to harness data. I know data is very limited in clean data, but be more savvy in understanding data and then understanding new signals that are enabling us as a government unit to potentially drive greater investment into your city, into your province, but leverage data to your advantage.
Yeah, so to me probably three things, right? Every government leader here, mindset, three things in terms of three principles. Citizen first, digital first, and sustainability first. So citizen first, you've heard an great example from the Quezon City government, right? Putting the citizen at the center, being able to improve the quality of life, interaction, collaboration, participation of the citizens in government. So that's very important. Number two, digital first. And at the heart of any digital strategy is data. Data, being able to open it, hopefully promoting open data, sharing more, and collaborating on it more, and of course, putting the necessary safeguards to protect the citizens' data from misuse. Sustainability first. Yes, economic growth is very crucial, but it cannot be existing without environmental sustainability. So in cities, I would love to, let's say, for example, live in a city that is, is green, don't see much waste around everywhere, right? So those are the three key things, I think.
So three things also. One, ease of doing business. Two, cybersecurity. And three, upskilling the digital mindset of our civil service personnel. So we at ISAC, particularly the digital infrastructure sector, provide recommendations to from a best practice point of view. So ease of doing business, we want to promote investment in digital infrastructure development. Cybersecurity is a major concern, particularly among critical infrastructure, information infrastructure, and that's one of the recommendations we're also pushing forward, which is there's a draft EO we're pushing for critical infrastructure. Digital mindset, government also has to have that mindset. There has to be a level of know-how in terms of digitalization, and that's also ISAC's recommendation. We are working with the ICT and the Development Academy of the Philippines, along with the National University of Singapore, for a curriculum for our civil service personnel to upgrade or develop this mindset of digitalization for our civil service personnel.
Yeah, for me it's collaboration. So we collaborate with ADI. They are providing our dashboards for inflation monitoring, providing us a forward estimates as to how much budget we need to provide the next year. Microsoft, they're helping us with cybersecurity, with Power BI dashboards. We start with the policies and the EOs that we need to push forward to the president's attention. And Beacon also has been helping us with enterprise architecture, cybersecurity, and everything on the IFMIS project. And this is, I'm proud to say that it takes a village to do digitalization in the government. And I'm happy that I'm here with KPMG as well. I've been constantly talking with Director Manaban. He's like one of my mentors. He actually invited me to be in the ICT. So he's one of my mentors. So in terms of governance, so what needs to be done in a proper way, so on, Director Manaban. So And basically that's it. Very thankful for this kind of collaboration, and I hope that the public will be able to benefit out of this partnerships.
Okay. And lastly, so just wanted to add, it's ease of doing business. Technology is really an integral part of that. You saw the presentation of Quezon City. It really makes things convenient for everyone. One thing I wanted to emphasize is we're always thinking it's convenience for businesses, investors, and citizens. No, it's not only that. We keep on talking about financing. It's also good for the government itself. Actually, you're talking about where do we get funding for this? If you streamline, if you, like what Quezon City did, actually all the savings that you can generate from that can actually finance your new investments. Now, think of all the human resources that you will save, transportation, paper, printing, etc., etc. That actually can finance your investments. So don't be scared. It's not just for your citizens, it's also for you, for governments, for the national, local governments. But you can, if you streamline, if you really interoperate, make it one-stop shop, you can save a lot and you can throw those investments into your new investments.
Thank you very much for your insights. I hope it's been, I provided you, and the panel has provided you a very compelling and urgent discussion. And I know we won't scratch the surface, but ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, thank you very much for your participation.
It's really meant to help LGUs and agencies in the national government in the digitalization process. You know, everybody wants to go digital, everybody sees the need to become digital, but it's always a challenge to get started. And therefore, we want to have that. First, building the strategy roadmap, upskilling the people, and also finding the right technology solutions to support the processes that they have services to their customers, to their citizens. You saw naman Quezon City, very good example of what they're doing. I was telling Mr. Alimoro, I did not realize that there's so many aspects of an LGU business that you could actually put into a platform. And I guess the financial side, which is the corporate taxes, the business permits is one thing, but really if your intention is to service your citizens, that's not going to go a long way.
Is it a free service? And how can they
Mahal yan a free service. Going digital is, obviously it's not free, but we are willing to invest in LGUs who want to go on that journey. I suppose there will be exploratory discussions that will happen because this will also be an investment on our part. And it's not really, technology is pricey. It comes with a cost. And but the long-term benefits are there. So they could get in touch with us to explore and see how we can help. It will depend on what their intentions are, what their plans are, and we could step in to help and see how they could bring it to fruition.
Ano yung one-stop shop? Ano ba siya? Online portal? App ba siya?
No. It's really the service that we have, one-stop shop, because we could assist them from start to finish. That's what we mean by one-stop shop. So technology solutions will vary. We have alliances with different providers, so we need to find out what it is that they need and suggest alliances that will service their needs. And at the end of the day, it will be their decision on which alliance or applications they will use.
So another topic, what's your market outlook for this year when it comes to the services that you are offering, tax, audit, and advisory?
So we have, as I mentioned, you mentioned our services, including audit and assurance, through tax, advisory, and technology consulting. We are primarily an audit and assurance firm prior to pandemic. That is our biggest service line. After pandemic, our advisory line is slowly growing, catching up to our audit and assurance services, and much of it is in technology. So there is a lot of technological engagements that we're working on, RPA, cybersecurity. So different bits of technology. It's not just one type of service. and that is, I think that's where most of the Philippine companies are going, given what we've experienced during pandemic. And then we are also seeing ESG coming in the future, depending on how fast our regulators will start requiring companies to have ESG reporting and related assurance reports. That would be a growth area for firms like us, and because also of the changing expectations of stakeholders on ESG, so that becomes it plays a more prominent role.
Yung growth areas that you mentioned, how fast is it growing? Is it like a double-digit growth, or can you describe?
For technology, it is a double-digit growth. I remember.
May particular figure, kasi medyo wide pa rin yung range na.
When before pandemic, we started our manpower count about 70, but now we're about 300 plus. So we are servicing companies in the Philippines who are doing work for other KPMG member firms. They are outsourcing work to us, and it's just expanding. And as I mentioned earlier, even the type of service. Before we were doing RPA, now we're doing local code. The cybersecurity is also expanding just because of the threats of hacks and vulnerabilities of systems, which is also increasing areas.
Ano yung mga challenges that you are seeing for this year and in the near future?
I think for most companies, challenge will be the same. It's always talent risk. Business is there, but you need people to service your clients and engagement. Especially for us, we are a service firm, and therefore that's one of the main drivers of the issues that we are facing. We need to continue meeting with people to expand our service lines, but then because there is a need, it's not so difficult to sell, no? And especially with KPMG, I think we are known in the market as a digital advisory firm, so we are a bit ahead in that area.
Mamaya pa mag-discuss yung sa automation, pero I would like to ask about AI. If you think it's a threat to the professional services in the market?
I think we have no choice. It's coming, it's here, and we have to adapt. It will do wonders, I think. We just have to be able to see how it will, how we could best use it. I don't think it will replace people. And for routine tasks, yes, it will replace people. But then you have to skill up, no? And be more analytic, different focus, and now interpret what AI is telling you. So it's not like before where people spend hours, encoding. Now that all can be done automated. But the analysis that you need to do based on that data, and given the wealth of data that we have, that's the area that we all need to upskill. So,
And the Philippines, we've been here for quite a bit of time. But I head the non-audit services, and in this non-audit services is advisory. Advisory spans traditional services such as data advisory, but we've been making a big play on technology. We made a big bet on technology, and very confident about the growth of our technology services in the Philippines. We started out with cybersecurity. When we started out 12 years ago, it was a two-man team doing cybersecurity. Now we're over 400 individuals doing not just cybersecurity, but ERP, advisory, doing core banking systems, core systems, ERPs. And we're now into digital transformation, and that's a big phrase. What does it entail? We've really focused on transforming businesses through digital transformation. That's that's three areas: the front office transformation, such as using Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics. How do you build your operations and your organization around those systems, or how do you make those systems work for you? And then we're also talking about the core systems of operation, and of course the back office transformation. One area of back office transformation one tool we're very excited about using. We've been rolling this out to our clients for the past 4 years. Even before the pandemic, was robotic process automation, or RPA. Robotic process automation is essentially having a robot do what a person can do. Basically the repetitive and voluminous work. So I'll just give you an example. A process which would take maybe 3 people 72 hours to do. some financial process. We can now do it with a bot in 1 minute. One bot will do that process. It usually takes 72 hours. It now takes 2 minutes. And we talk about just one process. In a company, in an enterprise, there's so many processes. And if you can imagine, if you put bots to work on these projects and free up people so that your people can do more analytical work, they can do more client-facing work, they can do more strategic work, then you won't be hiring, you don't have to hire all these highly paid people, you just essentially process paper. And we found that it works for us. We use ourselves as a guinea pig. We found that it works for our banking clients, our real estate clients, our manufacturing clients. So part of my role really is to sort of I'm evangelizing my clients to make that whole entire digital transformation. Now, before the pandemic, I used to be really, I used to talk myself hoarse, convincing clients why they should do it. I think the pandemic proved that you really have to do it. So we have this conference on talking about digital transformation with a special focus on government digital transformation, because that's where the world's headed. Now you all know that there's artificial intelligence. It's now in the consciousness of everyone. There are very successful applications for artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has been around for a long time, since the 1950s. But it's only now that really, it's only in the recent years that really very specific, understandable, and very practical applications are being put into play. So, but how are you going to use this? We have to educate. We have to educate people, whether that's companies, executives, CEOs, CIOs, as well as ordinary users like us. So that's really the goal of this, and of this conference. And we also launched our KPMG Digital Government Center, which helps. We have a special focus on LGUs to tech up their operations. Now, why LGUs? Well, we do work with national government agencies, but we want to focus on the LGUs because LGUs is the first touch point in all of our lives. Right? You wake up in the morning, step out of your door, the first thing you do is, you run into your LGUs. You have to navigate your local streets. You have to navigate areas of the city which have to be maintained by the LGU. You go back to your house at night. Invariably, you'll run into LGU issues. You come home, you'll find your real property tax bill there. You have to take care of it. All of these things. So LGU is the first touch point of people, and that's where we as citizens have to demand that LGUs have to be responsive to our requirements.
Question is, first of all, what are the steps that you're taking, the proactive and the baby steps that you're taking right now to digitize the communities, the LGUs? That's my first question.
Alright, so for the LGUs, right? Okay, I think the biggest step that we have taken so far is the launch of our Digital Government Center. But prior to this launch, we've been quite active. I'm not sure if Noel already mentioned that. We've been reaching out to different agencies like the League of Cities. We've also had discussion. I can't disclose like the actual cities. We've been discussing with different mayors, right? Trying to understand what are the pain points in those cities, and then see how can we help in addressing those pain points, and how can technology essentially address these pain points. So I could say that we're not yet there in the implementation part, but a lot of this starts with more of the understanding, and some of them we're quite advanced in terms of proposing to them on what solution to take, and we're hoping with the official launch of the Digital Government Center that could accelerate more adoption of digital, and that could take KPMG as part of those advocates, right, in transforming the government, hopefully through our services.
Okay. It was mentioned kanina that one of the KPMG's goals is to techno or digitize, evangelize the small businesses and big businesses. So yung question is now, it feels like it's kind of leaving out some people in the industry. Na, like, for example, worker ka before, and then because of adapting new technology, medyo nawala yung trabaho ko. What are your steps to take na para hindi naman din mawala yung completely mawala yung manpower or workforce?
Well, this technology, digital acceleration, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. Whether we intervene or not, it's gonna happen. So, what we're essentially doing is really more of advocating and trying to educate as many people as possible to start upskilling, right? And when we say upskilling, it means that even the non-tech have a future and can essentially be the future automation engineers, right? Because it's inevitable if they don't do anything right now, then they're going to be part of the displaced workforce eventually. So I suppose the proactive role of KPMG is really more on educating and trying to connect to as many networks as possible for them, or companies also, for them to start looking at their strategy 3 to 5 years from now in elevating or upskilling the people.
Are there elements or are there courses that's already being prepared by KPMG for especially for kasi like for government, not all of them are on the younger side. Most of them are on the old side. So they are resistant to technology, embracing technology, and yung learning curve nila is little lower na than the usual. So how does KPMG prepare for those scenarios wherein those are the kinds of people that you'll be working with or dealing with in the future?
So if we're talking about the community and the public, right, it has to be done through the government, because at the end of the day, the reach of KPMG is to the private enterprise, right? The private sector, wherein it's part of our job. It's part of our job to actually, help our clients, right? Start enabling their people. But to the public sector, which the scale is bigger, we need to start working with agencies that can essentially drive this transition, the upskilling of people. So what I'm looking at, we're going to have to work with, whether it's to DepEd or to other government agencies, the Digital Pilipinas, the Go Digital Pilipinas of the private sector, of the PISAC group, right? So we are very active in those organizations, and hopefully through that proactiveness, we can influence the agencies and as many organizations as possible for them to take on.
That's it for me, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.